Yesterday, President Biden released his extremely consequential AI executive order, and here's how people are responding. Welcome back to the AI Breakdown. Today, we are doing sort of part two of our coverage of President Biden's executive order on artificial intelligence. Now, on the one hand, it should be somewhat self-evident that the United States making its largest regulatory move vis-a-vis this space would be a topic of some import. But as you'll see today, this has generated an extreme array of very strong feelings, as well as debates around the likely impact of these new rules and actions to be taken following the AI executive order. Now, if you haven't heard about the details of the executive order and what's actually contained within it, I recommend yesterday's episode, which goes over all of that in some length. Today, we will just focus on the reactions and what has generated the most controversy. But in order to help understand just how significant the White House is treating this was not just some signature and a press release alongside the rest of the day's actions. This was the biggest thing on President Biden's schedule yesterday. They invited folks to the White House, President Biden gave a prepared speech, and they even launched a new recruitment drive to get people to come work with the government on these AI issues. Now, some of the reactions were from notable folks in the political community. Former President Barack Obama tweeted, "Artificial intelligence has the potential to change the way we work, learn, and create. I'm glad to see President Biden citing an executive order on AI designed to encourage innovation while avoiding some of the biggest risks." President Obama even followed that up with a full Medium post on the topic. In it, he echoed the administration's main message, which is, of course, that they want the U.S. to be the bastion of innovation while also fighting the potential risks. Now, one thing that's interesting in light of all of these, frankly, very frustrating articles about how all the AI doomers are distracting from the real and urgent risks of AI, as though people weren't able to handle multiple different types of risks at once in their puny little brains, Obama makes it clear that when it comes to risks, they are a both and. As he writes, "We don't want anyone with an internet connection to be able to create a new strain of smallpox, access nuclear codes, or attack our critical infrastructure." But he continues, "I'm glad the Biden administration is also thinking about other challenges that could end up being far more common. We've already seen what can happen when our shared basis of facts begins to erode." And indeed, this is much of where Obama spends his time in this article, concerned around the impacts to democracy of this technology and how it might accelerate transformations that have already started because of social media. Now, in addition to former politicians, current politicians are also making statements on the order, usually mostly in line with their already stated policies, and mostly focused on the parts that have become their pet causes. And there was also a chorus of generic support from some of the big tech players. Brad Smith, the vice chair and president at Microsoft, wrote, "Today's executive order is another critical step forward in the governance of AI technology. This order builds on the White House voluntary commitments for safe, secure, and trustworthy AI, and complements international efforts through the G7 Hiroshima process. AI promises to lower costs and improve services for the federal government, and we look forward to working with U.S. officials to fully realize the power and promise of this emerging technology." Salesforce's Mark Benioff writes, "Today's AI executive order is a giant leap towards ethical AI, government integration, and attracting great AI talent to the U.S. We pledge to only use AI datasets that respect trust, privacy, and copyright. Your data will never be our product. Trust is our North Star as we navigate the AI landscape." Now, if that feels a little corporate buzzwordy to you, you were not the only one to think so, and this sort of generically positive response was far from the most common. The New York Post published an opinion piece from the American Enterprise Institute's James Petacoukas, who writes, "Biden threatens to stifle U.S. tech innovation with a too hasty AI power grab." He writes, "Make no mistake, the greatest threat from emerging advances in artificial intelligence like ChatGPT isn't that AI will take all our jobs or kill us or both. The former is ahistorical, the latter science fiction. Rather, the big danger around AI is that overeager Washington policymakers will rush to regulate a fast-evolving technology. Without a firm understanding of possible harms, we shouldn't risk slowing a technology with vast potential to make America richer, healthier, more militarily secure, and more capable of dealing with problems such as climate change and future pandemics. Tech progress delayed is tech progress denied." Now, the point that the piece makes is that it represents a fundamental shift in the way the U.S. thinks about technology regulation. In short, James writes, "The order suggests nothing more than a wholesale abandonment of the light regulatory approach towards American digital markets that created a world where all the most important internet players are American companies. Had President Bill Clinton in the late 1990s issued such an aggressive and sweeping order, instead of opting for a lighter approach, it's possible we wouldn't be witnessing today's embryonic AI revolution." Now, this is a notable argument because it is explicitly the case that there are many politicians in Washington who do not see things this way, and who do not view internet regulation as a great success, in spite of the fact that all the big internet companies are here, as this op-ed points out. Indeed, if you ever watch a hearing about crypto or about AI or about any new technology, there is a broad sense among today's politicians that they lost control of social media, and they want to get that right. And getting that right translates to asserting more power. Lawyer Preston Byrne makes a similar point. He writes, "The AI executive order is the exact polar opposite of Section 230. If we keep heading down this course, government control and monitoring of private software development, we will lose the AI race." Jeff Amico, the head of operations at Jensen AI, writes, "Biden's AI executive order is out and it's terrible for U.S. innovation. Here are some of the new obligations which only large incumbents will be able to comply with. If you're going to develop a large model, you must report to the government regarding any ongoing or planned activities related to training, developing, or pricing your model. Essentially, public company reporting for startups building large models. If you are developing a large model, you must report the ownership and possession of the model weights of your model and the physical and cybersecurity measures taken to protect those model weights. Implied restriction on open sourcing model weights." Jeff continues, "If you acquire a large amount of compute, you must disclose the existence and location of these clusters and the amount of total computing power available in each cluster, treating compute, an inherently neutral technology, as a dangerous resource that must be regulated. If you're an infrastructure provider, you must report to the government anytime a foreign person transacts to train a large AI model with potential capabilities that could be used in malicious cyber-enabled activity, i.e. new KYC regime for compute, increasing costs of transacting with startups." Now, what I like about Jeff's thread, even if you don't agree with it, is that at least it points out some very specific issues with this particular EO rather than just being sort of generic in its critique. Y Combinator founder Paul Graham writes, "I don't know what the right approach to regulating AI is, but one problem with this particular approach is that it means we're heading toward the government regulating private individuals' computing at an exponential rate." Okay, so there are a lot of different buckets of this critique to start to pull apart. One has to do with the increased cost of compliance, which tend to benefit big companies at the cost of smaller startups. And another issue is this new surveillance regime surrounding access to computing resources. Now, responding to Paul Graham's post was the AI Safety Memes account, who wrote, "Can you elaborate? Americans have to inform the government when someone pays them $600. Why is informing the government about a planet-sized supercomputer viewed as tyranny? I'm libertarian sympathetic, but it seems many are responding with government always bad tribalism." Another AI safety advocate on Twitter, Liron Shapiro, writes, "The reason the policy is drastic is because top researchers are admitting that the world might end. As soon as we have the theoretical foundations of how to create superintelligent AI and not end the world, we should relax the policy." Another AI CEO, Bindu Reddy, has an entirely different set of issues with the order. She writes, "The AI executive order is a bit ridiculous and pretty hard to enforce. Here are the issues. 1. Any foundation model that poses a serious risk to national security. How do you determine if something is a serious risk to national security? If this is about misinformation, Twitter, YouTube, and Meta are way more serious risks to national security than harmless AI models that merely generate content, not distribute or amplify it. 2. All AI-generated content has to be watermarked? Seriously? We may as well kill Vision AI if we actually enforce that. Are enterprises allowed to use AI to generate images and use them in their marketing? 3. Some agency is apparently going to develop tests that the AI models have to pass. How will this get enforced? Does every fine-tuned version of any open-source model have to pass these tests? What happens if a model is dropped on Hugging Face by a non-US corporation? 4. It has a bunch of privacy-protecting language. All this does is cripple AI models compared to search, where the same privacy isn't being enforced. Google search will recognize a face for me, GPT-4 Vision won't. It's not clear why my photo that is in the public domain can't be used by AI. We already have privacy-protecting laws. These should be sufficient." It then ends with some feel-good language around hiring and open source. Net-net, this order won't make any difference in the near term. It could be harmful in the long run to companies who do develop these foundation models, especially vision models. Weirdly, it helps search engines or makes them way more powerful because they are not regulated while AI models are. Now, after Bindu posted that, the full executive order came out, not just the fact sheet, and it showed that it was defining the reporting requirements around how much compute was actually being used. As Nir Sayan points out, it's any model trained with around 28 million H100 hours, which is around 50 million USD, or any cluster with 10 to the 20 flops, which is around 50,000 H100s, which, as they point out, only 2 companies currently have. Now, this prompted Bindu to actually go back and update her thoughts. She writes, "The executive order may not have any impact on open source AI. At first glance, this appears to only apply to OpenAI and Google. Anthropic, Facebook, Microsoft, and maybe a couple of others may qualify as well. The good news is that smaller models seem to be exempt from these requirements, and this means that the open source AI ecosystem is free to operate in an unregulated fashion, i.e. business as usual. The Mistral 7B is already super performant for its size. I anticipate that in a year or two, a 70B model or an ensemble of 70B models will beat, if not match, GPT-4 performance, at least on specific tasks. LLM training is becoming more and more efficient, and decent LLMs can be trained with less than $10 million in training budget, and this number is only going to go down over time. This also puts a lot of pressure on innovating and matching performance below these thresholds. I'm not entirely clear why these bigger models are greater danger to national security versus smaller models that may be purpose-built by someone to generate misinformation. This seems more about the GPU-rich fighting with each other than anything else. In a weird way, they are helping open-source AI ecosystem by not requiring the smaller models to comply. PyTorch co-founder Sumit Chintala made a similar point, writing, "This executive order will introduce a new downward pressure on people and companies to make models smaller to avoid reporting, which in itself will likely bring novel effects such as innovations in model parameter efficiencies and such, but the innovation would strongly overfit to the exact formulation of a large model in the executive order." Now, in terms of the startup AI labs, the only comment that I saw came from Jack Clark from Anthropic. He wrote, "Seeing such a heavy emphasis on testing and evaluating AI systems seems good. You can't manage what you can't measure. Proof is obviously going to be in the implementation, but the EO gets a bunch of different parts of government to create capacity for third-party measurement, oversight, and analysis of AI systems, which seems broadly helpful. Also seems good to have the Department of Commerce referee process of creating guidelines and best practices, so it's not just an uncoordinated bunch of industry players doing own self-governance initiatives. Also great to see a push towards implementing a pilot national AI research resource, aka National Research Cloud. Giving more computational resources to people who don't have it is a good way to deal with information asymmetries in AI development." Now, one interesting subset of responses has to do with the contrast of this to the way that the White House and the broader government has dealt with the crypto industry. Attorney Jeremy Hogan writes, "I couldn't stomach reading the executive order on AI, but I glanced through it in detail and the hypocrisy is enormous. Hasn't the administration attacked privacy in the crypto space at every opportunity? Why all of a sudden this concern over our privacy?" Now, interestingly, I think that the more relevant connection is actually around compute reporting. That seems to me markedly similar, as you heard from Jeff Amico a minute ago, to a new type of KYC, but for compute. However, a flip side comes from a piece in Reuters called "Biden AI Plan is One Step in Avoiding Crypto Trap." And what they're talking about is how the very piecemeal and regulation by enforcement approach that the vacuum of leadership on crypto has left among US agencies is creating a context in which companies are leaving the US to go pursue digital assets in other jurisdictions. They argue that this executive order, by starting to give clarity around the lay of the land for companies, will lead to less companies having to leave because of a capricious application of non-existent regulations as we've seen in the crypto space. That said, folks are still worried. Brian Romley writes, "It did not take long to move AI development and research out. The folks advising the president have done the United States a massive disservice. The current executive order will drive AI research away from this country." He points to a tweet from Dell Complex that reads, "Announcing Blue Sea Frontier Compute Cluster. The Biden administration's AI executive order and the EU's AI Act aim to centralize control under the guise of safety. The solution is at sea. Blue Sea Frontier Compute Clusters are not just barge-based compute platforms, but sovereign nation states." But by way of wrapping up, let's look at what polled Americans actually think of this new executive order. Daniel Coulson, who's the executive director of the new AI Policy Institute, reported on the results of a flash poll from the AIPI that surveyed a little over 1,100 people about the EO yesterday. Coulson sums up, "New AIPI polling reveals sweeping support across the political spectrum for President Biden's AI executive order today. An overwhelming 69% of American voters are in favor, including 64% of Republicans and 65% of independents. Respondents were the most supportive of mandatory safety testing of AI models, watermarking of AI-generated content, requiring AI labs to disclose plans for training runs, and requiring extensive screening of synthesized biological pathogens when asked to compare different elements of the order." I'll include a link to this poll, but it's pretty interesting to see which policies are the most popular. Right at the top, as Coulson said, establish rigorous and extensive testing requirements for powerful AI models that could threaten critical infrastructure. 69% of the respondents were in favor of those policies. All the way down at the bottom, with only 18% in support, was making it easier for high-skilled immigrants with AI expertise to come to the US. Indeed, what really stands out from this poll is how much policies that related to AI X risk were the most popular relative to everything else. 5 of the top 6 most popular policies in this poll did in some way deal with those issues, with the only one coming into that list that didn't being the watermarking AI practices so that we know what is AI generated and what isn't. Things like requiring federal agencies to evaluate how to prevent AI discrimination in housing, healthcare, and education were much less popular comparatively. Now, I think it's a reasonable question to what extent that is a reflection of the extreme focus of media on those X-risk type issues over the past few months, but either way, they're interesting results. Now remember, when it comes to how an executive order actually gets implemented, the devil is completely in the details. Agencies have between 90 and 270 days, depending on the part of the EO, to respond with plans based on what the EO contains. And when it comes to comprehensive rules, Many of the things that the Biden administration would like to see are going to take an act of Congress. What that means is that this is the beginning, not the end, of the AI regulatory conversation in the US. But boy, has it started now in a big, big way. Anyways, we will wrap there. Tomorrow we will talk about something different than this executive order. But for now, I appreciate you listening or watching as always. And until next time, peace.